Welcome to our deep dive into data security. Looks like we're getting serious about this. You've given us a ton of material on Microsoft Purview, so I guess that means we're really diving into it today.
Yeah, looks like it.
We're going to explore three key tools within this platform: communication compliance, insider risk management, and information barriers.
Yeah, those are some pretty powerful tools. Each one plays a crucial role in safeguarding your data.
Definitely. So to kick things off, what exactly is communication compliance?
Well, think of communication compliance as like a watchful eye over all your company's communications. It monitors a bunch of different channels, like your email and Teams, looking for potential violations of policies or regulations.
So it's not just about preventing data leaks.
No, it's not just about that. It's also about making sure that all communication within the company is, appropriate and compliant.
Gotcha. So let's say someone accidentally or even intentionally sends an email with sensitive financial information. Would communication compliance flag that?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, one of the sources details a scenario where they set up a policy to specifically detect the sharing of financial secrets.
Financial secret?
Yeah, they use that term. And it shows how certain keywords like secret can trigger alerts.
Makes sense. So the admins can then review the flagged communications.
Right.
And take action if needed.
Exactly.
Now, what about content that isn't text-based? Can communication compliance monitor that too?
Yes, definitely. Even images get scanned for inappropriate content. They use optical character recognition, or OCR for short. It can actually identify text within images.
Wow. So nothing slips through the cracks.
Nope.
That's pretty thorough. Now, who actually reviews these flagged communications? Is it all automated or?
That's a great question. While the system flags the potential violations, it's ultimately up to certain people, called reviewers, to assess the flagged content and decide if any action is needed.
Oh, okay. So you've got the automated monitoring,
Right.
but also the human oversight. Gotcha. Okay, so we've got our watchful eye on communications. Now let's shift gears to insider risk management. What makes this tool different?
So insider risk management, it's all about being proactive. It's about identifying potential threats from within the organization before they turn into data leaks or sabotage.
So you're trying to catch things before they happen.
Exactly. It's like having a detective constantly looking for clues. That might point to risky behavior.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So what kind of clues would this detective be looking for?
Well, the source material highlights a case where insider risk management is set up to detect risky browsing behavior.
Interesting.
So the idea is that if you see unusual web browsing patterns, like someone going to websites known for malware or hacking tools, that could be a red flag.
Yeah, that definitely sounds suspicious.
Right.
So it's not just about monitoring file transfers or emails. You're looking at a wider range of activities.
Exactly. And the source material actually calls these red flags risk indicators.
Risk indicators?
Yeah, and it's not just about setting them up and letting the system run wild. You have to configure notifications, prioritize certain user groups, and fine-tune these indicators to minimize false positives.
I could see how that would be important. You wouldn't want to flag every employee who visits a slightly unconventional website.
No, definitely not.
So, in your opinion, what kind of browsing behavior would warrant a closer look?
Well, you have to think about the types of websites that could pose a threat to your organization's data. So repeated visits to sites known for phishing scams, data breaches, or even those that offer tools for bypassing security measures, those would definitely raise some eyebrows.
Right.
It's all about context and
Yeah.
identifying patterns that deviate from the norm.
That makes sense. So we've got the watchful eye on communications and the proactive detective looking for insider threats. Now let's move on to the third tool, information barriers. It sounds like this one's about building walls within the organization.
You could say that. Information barriers are essentially virtual walls that control how information flows between different segments of an organization.
Okay, so give me an example.
Sure. The source material highlights a case study where they set up these barriers between the legal and marketing departments.
So the legal team wouldn't accidentally share confidential client information with the marketing team?
Exactly. These barriers are designed to prevent things like conflicts of interest, data leaks, and even just accidental disclosures. That could have serious consequences.
So they make sure that information...
Only goes to those who need to know, those who have a legitimate need to access it.
That seems like a pretty powerful tool. I bet it could be used in a lot of different scenarios.
Oh, absolutely. The source material emphasizes that. These barriers can be tailored to specific individuals, groups, or even entire departments.
So it's about implementing the right level of control to protect your data without stopping collaboration entirely.
Exactly.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a very versatile tool.
So we've talked about monitoring communications, identifying insider threats, and building walls between departments. It sounds like Microsoft Purview provides a pretty comprehensive toolkit for data security.
It does. It's a pretty impressive platform.
It is. But one thing that's been on my mind is the human element. Technology is great and all, but how do you actually create a culture of security within an organization?
That's a great question. And the source material actually addresses this. It emphasizes this idea of security by design, which is more than just implementing tools. It's about building security into the DNA of the organization.
So it's a more holistic approach.
Yeah, you could say that.
So what would that look like in practice?
Well, it's about creating a culture where everyone understands the importance of data security, from the CEO down to the interns, and they all feel empowered to play their part.
So everyone's responsible.
Exactly. It's a shift from a reactive approach, where you're always putting out fires, to a proactive approach, where you're preventing fires from starting in the first place.
I like that analogy a lot. So how do you actually make that happen?
Well, the source material talks about regular training and awareness programs. But it's not just about checking a box. The training needs to be engaging and relevant to people's roles. One thing I found effective is using simulations and real-world scenarios. It really helps people understand the consequences of a security breach.
So instead of just lecturing people about password security, you might create a scenario where they experience a simulated phishing attack.
Exactly. It makes it much more real for them.
Yeah, it's not just theoretical anymore.
Right.
And it's not just about training either. Leadership plays a big role in setting the tone.
Oh, definitely. They need to be vocal advocates for security, not just giving it lip service.
They need to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Absolutely. They need to follow the same security protocols that they expect of everyone else and be transparent about security incidents. Use them as learning opportunities rather than trying to hide them.
So it's about creating a culture of accountability and continuous improvement. Now, the source material also mentioned another concept that I think is worth discussing. This idea of zero trust.
Oh yeah, zero trust.
It sounds a little extreme, like you don't trust anyone.
Well, it's not quite that simple. Zero trust is more of a security framework that assumes no user or device can be trusted by default, even those within the organization's network.
Oh, so it's like you're always verifying everything.
Yeah. You verify every access request every time, no matter where it's coming from.
So like the old saying, trust but verify, but taken to the next level.
Exactly. It's a big shift from the traditional model of trust everyone inside the network perimeter.
Gotcha. So how does this zero trust principle work in real-world scenarios?
Yeah, one key element is multi-factor authentication. We touched on that earlier. It's that extra layer of security where you need more than just a password, like a code sent to your phone or a fingerprint scan.
Right. That makes it harder for unauthorized users to get in.
Exactly. Another important part of zero trust is the principle of least privilege, which basically means you only give users the minimum level of access they need to do their jobs.
So no more giving everyone admin rights just for convenience.
Nope, not in a zero trust world.
Makes sense.
It's about damage control, minimizing the damage if an account does get compromised.
Right.
And this ties back to the idea of segmentation that we discuss with information barriers. It's about dividing your network into smaller, isolated sections so that if one area is breached, the attacker can't easily move around and access other sensitive data.
Like watertight compartments in a ship.
Exactly.
If one gets flooded, the whole ship doesn't sink.
Right.
Mark.
Now, the source material doesn't go into a ton of detail on zero trust, but it does say that implementing a full zero trust framework, it takes a lot of time and resources and expertise.
So it's a big undertaking.
It is. It's a fundamental shift in how you approach security.
But I imagine the benefits are worth it.
They are. It can really reduce the risk of data breaches and improve compliance with regulations and just overall enhance your security posture.
Yeah, it sounds like something organizations should seriously consider.
Yeah.
Especially with cyber attacks becoming more sophisticated.
Absolutely. And zero trust is just one piece of the puzzle. The source material also talks about continuous monitoring and improvement.
So it's an ongoing process.
It is. Data security is not a one-time project. You have to constantly adapt and evolve to stay ahead of the threats.
So you're always reviewing and updating security policies,
Yes.
conducting vulnerability assessments, and staying informed about emerging threats.
Exactly.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is.
And technology plays a huge role in all of this.
Definitely.
Tools like those security information and event management systems. The SIEM systems.
Yes.
They can collect and analyze so much data
They can.
from all sorts of sources.
Right.
And that helps organizations identify potential security incidents in real time.
That's right.
It's like having a 247 security guard for your data,
That's a great way to put it.
constantly on lookout.
Exactly.
And artificial intelligence is becoming more important too.
Oh, definitely.
Those machine learning algorithms,
They can analyze patterns and anomalies.
which helps organizations detect and respond to threats
Yes.
more quickly and effectively.
That's the goal.
So it's not just about having humans looking for problems.
No, it's not just that.
It's about using technology to make things better,
Exactly.
to enhance our capabilities.
Right.
But how do you make sure that all this security doesn't become too much? Like, it doesn't create an environment where people can't get their work done.
That's a really good point. And actually, the source material mentions this too. There's a balance you have to strike between security and usability. Too much security can slow things down and hinder productivity. But too little security leaves you wide open to attacks.
So you have to find that sweet spot
You do.
where you have strong security measures,
Yes.
but without creating unnecessary roadblocks.
That-
You want a secure environment, but you also want people to be able to do their jobs effectively without feeling like they're jumping through hoops all the time.
Right.
That sounds like a tough challenge,
It is.
especially in today's fast-paced work environment.
It is a challenge, but it's one that organizations need to face head on.
I agree. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this section, from the cultural aspects of security to the technical details of zero trust. We've seen how Microsoft Purview provides a powerful platform for safeguarding data. But it's clear that technology is only part of the equation.
That's right.
Building a truly secure environment, it requires a holistic approach that includes people, processes, and a culture of continuous improvement.
I agree with all of that.
But there's one more piece of this puzzle we need to look at. Let's explore how Microsoft Purview empowers individuals to take control of their own data.
All right, let's do it.
We've been talking about all these tools for organizations.
Yeah.
But what about the individuals? Whose data we're trying to protect? It seems like Microsoft Privacy has a pretty important role there.
Yeah, it does. Microsoft Privacy really puts individuals in control. It gives them the power to manage their own data, all the personal stuff that's stored in company systems.
That's great. What kind of control are we talking about?
Oh, well. The source material highlights a few key features. First off, it can automatically identify and classify sensitive personal information.
Oh, so it figures out what data is really important to protect.
Exactly. And that helps organizations understand what they have and how to best protect it.
Makes sense. You can't protect what you don't know you have.
Right.
What else?
Second, Microsoft Privacy lets individuals set up alerts for any risky activity happening with their data.
Someone tries to access my info without permission, I'd get a notification.
Exactly.
That's reassuring.
It is. It adds a layer of security and peace of mind.
Definitely. Anything else?
Okay, so this is probably the most important part. Microsoft Privacy gives people the tools to delete, update, or restrict access to their own data.
So they have total control.
Pretty much.
That's great, especially with data privacy being such a big deal these days.
Oh, it is. People want more transparency
Huh.
and control over their information, and Microsoft Privacy addresses that.
For sure.
Plus, it helps organizations comply with those data privacy regulations, the ones that are popping up everywhere.
Right.
There's actually one feature that really stands out. It's called Subject Request.
Okay.
It lets people submit requests about their data.
So like if I want to know what information the company has about me.
Exactly. You can submit a request through this feature.
Easy peasy.
It streamlines everything, makes it easier for everyone to manage those data privacy requests.
I like that. It's all about transparency and accountability.
Exactly.
So we've talked about communication compliance, insider risk management, information barriers, and now Microsoft Privacy. It really seems like Microsoft Purview offers a complete set of tools for protecting sensitive information.
It does. And the way all these tools work together, it's pretty impressive. You get this integrated security ecosystem.
So it's not just a bunch of random solutions.
Yeah.
It's a unified platform.
Exactly.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways from our deep dive is that data security isn't just about technology.
Yeah.
It's about people.
Yeah.
And processes.
Yeah.
And the overall culture.
I agree.
Technology gives you the tools.
Right.
But it's up to people to actually use them effectively.
Right. And to create that culture of security within the organization.
We've talked about security by design and zero trust. And those ideas emphasize a proactive approach to security.
They do.
And it seems like Microsoft Purview provides a strong foundation for building that kind of environment.
I think so.
So for our listeners out there, if you're trying to improve your organization's data security, Microsoft Purview seems like a great place to start.
Definitely. It's a powerful platform with a lot to offer.
But it's important to remember, data security is a journey, not a destination.
That's a good way to put it.
You have to constantly pay attention, adapt to new challenges, and try to stay ahead of the curve.
I agree completely.
Okay, to wrap things up, I think it's crucial to say this. Data security is everyone's responsibility. Individuals, organizations, everyone. We all have a role to play.
I couldn't agree more.
We need to work together, use the right tools and technologies, and create a more secure digital world.
Well said.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been really interesting exploring Microsoft Purview and talking about data security in general.
It's been my pleasure.
I hope our listeners found it informative too.
Me too.
And that they feel empowered to continue learning about data security.
It's a constantly evolving field.
It is. And to all our listeners out there, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the tools organizations can use. But what about the individuals, the people whose data we're actually trying to protect? How does Microsoft Purview help them?
Well, that's where Microsoft Privacy comes in.
Oh.
It's all about empowering individuals, giving them more control over their personal data.
That sounds promising. What kind of control are we talking about here?
So the source material highlights a few key features. First, it can automatically identify and classify sensitive personal information.
Also, it figures out what data needs that extra layer of protection.
Exactly, and that helps organizations understand what they have and how to handle it properly.
You can't protect what you don't know you have, right?
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
Second, Microsoft Privacy lets individuals set up alerts for any risky activities related to their data.
So like if someone tries to access or change my information without my permission.
Yep, you'd get a notification.
That's good to know. It definitely adds another layer of security.
It does. What else?
Well, this is probably the most important part. Microsoft Privacy gives individuals the tool to delete, update, or even restrict access to their data.
Wow, so they have a lot of control.
They do. It's all about putting them in the driver's seat.
Which makes sense. Data privacy is such a huge concern these days.
It is. People want more transparency, and they want more control over their information.
For sure.
And Microsoft Privacy helps address that.
Plus, it helps organizations comply with all those data privacy regulations.
Right, which are becoming more and more strict all the time.
They are.
There's actually one feature that's worth highlighting. It's called Subject Request.
Okay, what's that?
It allows individuals to submit requests about their personal data.
So if I want to know what information a company has about me, I can just submit a request.
Exactly.
That's pretty straightforward.
It is. It streamlines the whole process, makes it easier for everyone involved.
I like that.
It's all about transparency and accountability. So to recap, we've covered communication compliance, insider risk management, information barriers, and now Microsoft Privacy. It seems like Microsoft Purview really does offer a comprehensive set of tools for managing data security and privacy.
It does. It's a pretty impressive platform.
It is. And I think one of the key takeaways from our deep dive today is that data security is not just about technology.
No, it's not.
It's about people, processes, and culture.
Absolutely.
It's about creating a holistic approach to security.
I agree.
And Microsoft Purview gives organizations the tools they need to start building that kind of environment.
It does.
So for our listeners out there, if you're looking to enhance your data security, I think exploring Microsoft Purview is a great place to start.
I'd agree.
It's a powerful platform with a lot to offer. But remember, data security is an ongoing journey. It's not a one-time fix.
Right.
You have to constantly adapt and evolve to stay ahead of the threats.
That's the key.
Well, I think that about wraps things up for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us.
It's been my pleasure.
I hope our listeners found this discussion informative, and I hope it inspires them to continue exploring the world of data security.
It's a fascinating and constantly evolving field.
It is. And remember, folks, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure.